We didn't start this fight. We just wanted to be heard. But silence is injustice. So now we will unbury our words. We are the voices you pushed aside. We are the tears you justify. Family caught, fraud warriors rise. With every story you try to hide. We held on to every moment, every memory, every name. And now we're done pretending this is anything but insane. You thought no one would ever see. Now we are everything you never expected us to be. We are the voices you pushed aside. We are the tears you justify. Family courts, fraud warriors rise. With every story you try.
Sorry. Hello, everybody. Dave Weigel, Family Court Fraud Warrior Project. What is it, July 9th? Oh, shit, it's my sister's birthday. Thank God I'm a number of hours ahead and still in time to wish her a happy birthday, but I'll do it right now. Danielle, happy 29th again. We got a great conversation set up for tonight. I think people have been following for a while have heard me use the term hand of God type stuff going on every day. You start doing the right thing from a karma perspective, and it's amazing how it's a rule of the universe. It's just a rule of hello, everybody. Oh, Jesus, that stupid light that keeps doing that. Production team. That means one guy. A very, very good friend. Hello, everybody. Hello, Kristen. Hello, Erin. Hello, Mr. Texas. Hello, Christine DiMaggio. Oh, good old Kristen. Hello, everybody. Savvy Ninja. Thank you guys for always taking your time. We have got a very interesting conversation for it affects me deeply. It affects me deeply. Still reinvigorates my complex PTSD. But thankfully, I've spent a lot of time educating myself on what it is, how to address it, how to heal from it, and there's no better healer than helping another. I don't know why it works, but it just works. And I don't think that I've ever gotten better healthcare advice in my life for what we've all been through in this community. We got a lot going on, and I'll be giving updates here and there. I do want to start off before we bring in our special guest, Louann Larsen from Florida, who is a registered nurse practitioner. All right. Now, anybody knows anything about the healthcare industry knows they are the top of the top, head of the doctors. I told her today, I was like, if I go to a hospital, the only person I want to speak to is the nurse practitioner. They know everything from the ground floor up and everything the doctors know, except they mix in common sense and a little bit of world knowledge and, not just reiterated, I'm not going to beat up on doctors too much. I like to beat up on doctors because I don't think that they're the smartest people on the planet. I think they're the people that have just learned how to regurgitate information that they read in a book the most. But anyway, it's not time to sit here and beat up on doctors. It's time to sit there and really give a lot of respect for all the nurse practitioners out there. They see it all. That's why Louann is with us tonight. She's been gracious enough to get connected. I always have to thank Amy and my team, Kristen, Aaron, McFarland, Frank, Makoko, all you guys. We are again, inviting in new volunteers. I want to get that out right off the bat. We are an altruistic movement. We are an efforts-based meritocracy. It means the more you do for the organization, the more the organization does for you. I set this up to be the anti-corporation. Working on Wall Street for 30 years, I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly of the money game. I've climbed to a pretty high level of it. I'm suffering some pretty horrific repercussions of the system, which we will dissect in detail. Because it's phenomenal education that the public has a right to know. We are backing up a second, Family Court Fraud Warrior Project is a registered 501c3 U.S. charity, established 625 of 25. We have a charter, and we are a New York non-for-profit, while we are a federal charity. And 501c3 is not one of those other ones where you're kind of allowed to take some money down. No, it's pure charity that I fund 100% out of my pocket and have since day one. And I don't want to medal for it, but those are the facts. I started this project because I saw things that I couldn't unsee. And I'm a normal person that maybe it's just a little less scared than the next guy, a little bit more pissed off, and can't unsee, can't do nothing, about this. One of the few people that I know that got his kids back through this alternative plan that I've put together, that's utilizing the three mind-bending technologies that have changed the world: the internet as permanent public record, this Facebook group as not only a means and a mind-bending way of uniting victims and disparate people spread all over the world, or the country or the state, but then also to utilize our main page as a public ledger, just on the basis of the same thought process of blockchain technology, which is behind Bitcoin. Without getting too technical, the reason why Bitcoin is because it's a truth verification technology. And so is turning your phone around and allowing the world to look in your eyes when you tell them about the worst thing that's ever happened to you. And you're asked to summarize, what did they do to you? And what did they do to your kids? It's filtered out a lot of liars, narcissists, vultures, for-profit people, lunatics, attention seekers. I mean, it's the internet, guys. It's the internet. Have you done a Google search of me lately? Apparently, I'm Jack the Ripper. Yet everything I've ever done is public, and there's no way you can actually write down everything that I have done in 30 years and make me out to be a bad guy. But yeah, the 5% of narcissists out there that are 70% of the noise, plus the now hired people out there. Like, it turns out when you're out, like, most people are afraid to start a fight with one dirty judge and one dirty attorney. Not a lot of people are interested in picking a fight with every dirty attorney and every dirty judge in the country, and then producing the results of your study that show that they're part of the largest regulatory fraud of all times. There's no way that it's not being recorded. We've already published it. That's it. It's on the internet. It's on permanent public record. Okay. We published the analysis of all of the bar associations' annual reports, where those damn pesky rules on annual reports, they make you report certain numbers, like the number of people that call in for complaints, total number of complaints, between 115,000 and 135,000 complaints came in a year against lawyers. What if 100,000 complaints came in against firefighters, garbage collectors, dog groomers? No, but these are the untouchable. These are the bar card holders. Why create an industry out of selling your kids? We're officers of the court. What Leanne's going to be coming on, and what makes it such an interesting conversation, is that she's seen this from a completely other perspective. I noticed when I was working at Morgan Stanley, I saw elder abuse firsthand, and I was one of the only people that they've ever allowed to voluntarily report elder abuse regarding conservatorship fraud. I thank my boss, Ben Firestein, at the time. He was a real man. He said, Dave, we normally don't get involved into anything that we're not required to by court order, but you seem to feel strongly about this justice thing. And I did, and I reported it, and the right things happened. And that was many, many, many years ago, when I had faith that we had a functional legal system. It's crazy how much can change in such a short period of time. Leanne, I'm going to bring on right now. She's a nurse practitioner, and she has seen from the caregiver side. That's what a nurse practitioner is. That's what a nurse is. Right? They dedicate their life to making you feel better, getting you out of pain. Right? That's how their brains and their souls work. Right? You don't go into that. You don't go into that. But you're like, I feel like going to college for like 18 years just for shits and giggles. No, they do it because of this is their DNA. And it's the same scam, people. Here it is. Get to the end of the thing. All right. Here's the end of the show. You can turn it off now. Guess what? Same scam, same people, same bullshit, same many, 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 many fundamentals that we're going to discuss tonight. All right. From both sides of the equation. Probate fraud. I must have gotten 150 calls in the last 6 months of people just looking for support around their horror story around, instead of stealing your kids for your net worth, they just kill grandma. And yes, as a community watchdog leader, I know there's a lot of lawyers who hate me watching every single word. Yeah, I speak this way for a reason. All right. Because when you are engaged in something so disgusting as what you're engaged in, and that's how you make your money, I am speaking to you in the manner that I am on behalf of the 22,000 victim families you pieces of shit have destroyed. And they wish they had an opportunity to speak to you this way with a fucking army behind them that is your ticking clock toward the end of your scam. Oh, we got a dream team coming together. Dream team coming together. Going to be a lot of news to report. But before we do that, let's continue to discuss how obnoxiously obvious it is that when you have an environment that is made directly from hell, combining judicial discretion, nuclear weaponized by the largest regulatory fraud of all times, you get more than a town without a police force. you get like Escape from New York. Remember that movie Escape from New York with Snake Plissken, right? So I like to tell people sometimes, like, picture you're in that movie, right? And in between them, like, I don't know, chopping people's heads off and stuff, you see people walking into a court of law in there. Like, every time I hear of people trying the 20,000th and first legal process that has gone zero, right? That's what I think of. All right. Um, no, they're trying to make me out to be some crazy terrorist. Look how he talks, and now they're padding my, padding, creating a criminal record out of thin air, which we're going to be dealing with. All right. And they're going after whistleblowers everywhere. So I would want everyone to give a very, very warm welcome to our guest, because she is one of the very few out there brave enough to put her head out there under her own name and put an X on her back by refusing to stay quiet about what she's seen. Please, everyone, let's welcome Louann Larsen to the show. Hey, Louann.
Hi, nice to be here.
I forgot to tell you, I have diarrhea mouth. I tend to talk a lot.
That's okay. We have to talk. We can't go along, to get along. We need to first. And I spent my life, helping lives, helping the weak. And so when I see what's going on in this courts now, and what I see being done to the elderly and to the children, preying on the weak, they are targeting the children, they are targeting the elderly, and this cannot be allowed to continue. And what we've discovered, so I had my own case in King Supreme in defense of my father's business. And I was in court and I realized something was very bad going on in the court. So I made it my business to find out. And in that time of finding out, I came along others and came into one. I reported a sexually abused child, a 6-year-old child, and I went up against CPS and ACS, and they threatened my medical license. The police denied me and the mother to file and add additional information to a supposedly open report. So I firsthand came into contact with that organized crime enterprise, but then discovered through the courts what they were doing to the elderly people. I became aware of the property theft. So what they are using and doing to the elderly people is they are illegally evicting and unlawfully possessing their property. They're using fraudulent, fabricated, and not legally filed cases that are illegally proceeding. And they are taking properties that are near schools. So we realize that the properties that are being taken are near schools, and they're tunneling into these. And so tunnels into the basements to transport the children, the sex trafficked children. And the first floor is where the pedophile comes. Sometimes they let the owner stay on the second floor of the house. And so this is what is happening in the New York communities, and this is what's happening predominantly in the minority community, but don't worry, they'll get to every community when they get there. And so we have figured out very well, and we have proven it repeatedly, the systematic fraud that's going on. So we have proved how they're violating the law, how they're manipulating court filing systems, and how they're falsifying court documents to have these fabricated, fraudulent, and not legally filed cases illegally proceed to their intended defrauded outcome. So this is organized crime. The courts are part of it. The police are also coming.
Courts are it.
The courts, yeah, they are it. They are. This is organized crime, and the police are actually coming. They have no legal authority to be there under RPAPL 768 in New York. That's the law. They're not allowed to decide ownership. They are showing up. There's no marshal there, and they are showing up and taking unlawful possession of property. And again, they have no authority to be there. Sometimes we even have a federal court ordered stay, and they don't care about that court order, just like they didn't care about Jeffrey Epstein's court order. There was a New York
fire sailing homes to pay their own fees, their own exorbitant, unregulated fees. These chooches that like barely graduated like community college are hitting older people with $400,000 in fees of complete billing fraud and then going to a judge who has no regulator and says, hey, sign this piece of paper. We sell their house and pay our fees. Sorry, you are a professional and you speak perfectly and explain the legalities the right way. I try to hold back my disdain for the type of people that can just do this. Like, this is how you make your money. I mean, you're a nurse practitioner. What did you do to become a nurse practitioner? How much schooling did you have to go through to do what you do?
Yeah, it was 6 years of schooling to do this. But I mean, I have to say, you know, the people that are being victimized, retired teachers, elderly, I mean, so many citizens that have given so much to this country and then to
They're
be
profiled. They're
illegally
profiled.
evicted and their homes taken. An 82-year-old woman called police home from people. She called police. And she uses a walker, a retired teacher, and they took her home. She called because someone was in her house, and they arrested her for criminal trespassing and her son, and they took her home. There was no notice of eviction. There was no marshal. There was no judgment of possession.
And how many of these elderly people have done the only thing they know to do? Call 911, call the police.
And then the police are the one who arrest you.
And who are, and we've always been complimentary of the good people in blue, but you pieces of shit that sit there and take these calls while you're waiting for your fucking pension, you're not one of the good people in the blue. All right. You're a pussy. Okay. You are a coward with a gun. Okay. Because you sit there and you know what? Get another job. All right. Being a cop is not exactly like you're making 500 grand a year. And, it's a pretty cush job. Okay. If you're not busting up high school parties in the suburbs. And I have all the respect in the world of cops in New York City because these guys put their lives on the line. These are real cops.
I don't.
I've met the coolest and I have the utmost respect. And they'll be the first ones to admit that there's a certain segment that are just absolute cowards and losers that got beat up in high school. And these are the ones that they profile and they put on these details that can go to a 90-year-old's home and evict her, knowing you're part of a scam. They all know they're part of a scam. They all know where the money is going. They all talk about it.
But I have to say, the reputation, though, Dave, the reputation, if you look at Thomas Donlan, he was a former NYPD commissioner, and in July of 2025, he put a lawsuit against the NYPD. He called them a criminal enterprise, criminal to the core, and he called for a federal takeover. 4 other officers in July of 2025 put in separate lawsuits citing how they're using unvetted detectives in the child sex victims units. And in August of 2025, Amy Litwin, the NYPD attorney, also put a lawsuit against them for corruption. So this is and Commissioner former Thomas Donlan, former NYPD commissioner, was asking for a federal takeover. So they're making these officers that the budget for the NYPD is $6 billion a year. And they are making 150, 250,000, these sergeants and lieutenants, and then they're coming to evict with not legal orders, and then they're ignoring orders of Jeffrey Epstein, right? So there was a court order, a New York court order on Jeffrey Epstein.
No,
and
they were
ignored
ignoring Jeffrey Epstein.
When court order check-ins, he allowed to miss by the NYPD, and then they come and waive not legal orders and enforce them with a SWAT team and arrest a homeowner, but they'll let a level 3 child sex offender with a court order skip every one of 34 court ordered check-ins. Every one of those missed check-ins would have been 4 years for the first offense as a felony in prison, 7 for the next. They could have put him away just on missing his check-ins, but instead they let him for 8 years to traffic children. This is New York. This is New York.
You know what? I want to be balanced, okay? And look, I've always said I don't know what the hell I'm doing with this setting up the Warrior Project and going public with all this, all I've ever tried to do is the next right thing and try to do something where we're adding value to people in some way, shape, or form. And I think what's missing most is authenticity and pure honesty, whether you like the delivery or not. I find it ultra refreshing. I abhor the combination of ignorance and arrogance. If it's one thing that makes me want to lose my shit is listening to a stupid person be so convinced that they know what they're talking about. So I've really just tried to make this a very intelligent solution and tried to connect with the biggest people. Let me tell you something, that doesn't mean everyone's got to be a nurse practitioner. Okay. Some of the smartest people I know are people smart, are world smart. Okay. They haven't had, I don't know what their grade point average was, but they know people and they know the world around them. And I consider them in my world. But what I think everyone is collectively appalled with is the lack of honesty and integrity and authenticity. And I think this is obviously why social media has taken over as the dominant source of news and real talk shows like what we're doing here right now. Is because of this authenticity. And I'd also like to be balanced and sit there and say, I know some New York City cops. I used to be friends, closer friends, because he was, part of my ex-wife's family. And, when you divorce, divorce kind of the friends too and stuff. But he was a New York City cop. And his job was to kick the doors down of crack houses in the Bronx and in the worst areas in the world. It was a more dangerous job than probably almost anything internationally since Vietnam. And he was awarded by New York City for some ridiculous number of 13 arrests in a single shift without firing his weapon once. That's breaking down doors, facing off with somebody, with a gun and a reason to kill you. And you take them down and you're such a man, you don't even need to shoot. You don't even discharge your weapon once. New York City cops have a lot of those people too. They're not filled with, these are major people, But I feel bad for those guys because if I could speak to John right now, I'd be saying right now, I know you see it. What are you going to do? Give up your pension? Right? Like what mechanism? The whole system's seized up. There's all these good people in the system that would want to. One of the most significant things that I did when I went up to Ulster County, and I wouldn't turn my back on this woman who her friends did not turn their back on her either. It's just the reign of terror that this attorney had on this community was so evil that these people that lived in that community really had to worry about levels of retaliation, of worrying about their lives. This woman we called her the Black Widow in the press. And we've taken her out of commission by announcing how she would actually first fuck her clients, then marry them, then take all their money. All right. Then remove their kids and then do it to the next one. And why am I telling this story? For two reasons. Number one, this is what you get when you create judicial discretion, nuclear weaponized by the largest regulatory fraud in the world. What do you think you're going to create out of humanity in a lawless system of unbridled wealth creation? Unbridled, the amount of money that they're taking from these people, all right? The greatest generation, they saved all their damn money, all right? They never had 12 cents in their pocket. Where was it? All in their homes, all in their homes. And they're coming in the last minute and they're fire sailing their homes. Their whole net worth is 250, maybe 300,000, right? But they don't have a lot of heirs that have education, right? They've been targeted. They've been profiled. They're an easy target. I've heard so many stories of doctors changing medications they know will kill them faster. I cannot tell you. We're a community watchdog organization. All right. I cannot tell you the number of reports have come in. I've had to tell people, listen, I'm not an expert in this area. All right. Now that I know you are, I'll be sending them your way. All right. I stick to my knitting. But I will tell you, it's the same disease. The disease is this
Greed.
lawless society. This
Greed.
largest regulatory fraud. Okay. The Bar Association. Why would there be something called a bar complaint if it wasn't represented as a regulator? And their real job is to shut you up, is to engage in mass obstruction of justice. 100,000 complaints come in and they take negative action on 0.03%. Those are the numbers. I'm Dave Weigel of Wall Street. All right. I know my stuff and I certainly know my math. And what you will see on this site is unbelievable proof that will never, ever go away. That is proof the Bar Association in the United States of America is the largest regulatory fraud of all times. You have created this system. These people, these are humans. You put humans in a cage, you're going to get a caged animal that comes out. You provide a lawless fucking system, you're going to attract and support the biggest sociopaths in this country. Where do you think the sociopaths are going to work? In the most regulated industry in the world, or maybe in an industry that has no regulation? Hey, leaders of the country, ever think about thinking about fundamentals here a little bit, right? What do you think was going to happen when you created this? Oh, but the bar card holders, they're of a special class. Right now in America, we have a hijacking of our country. How many politicians are lawyers? How many of the regulators in every industry are lawyers? The judges are lawyers. Who's not a lawyer? It is the bar card holders, criminals, as we call them, the bar card criminals. And I'm sorry, if you're a lawyer and you're a good person, you've been lying to yourself because you know you operate in a lawless world. You know it, okay?
And can I add to that, Dave? Because I've confronted many a lawyer about it. And if they're not on my case or on the case in question, they will actually very easily admit to me the documents are falsified, the cases are not legally filed, and this is organized crime. What they will say to me is, "What are you going to do about it?"
Yeah, but did they rip up their bar card? Did they rip up their bar card?
They say to me, "What are you going to do about it? Like, what can you do about it?" I'm like, "Well, I can't leave it like this.
Yeah.
I'm going to do something about it." But they'll say to me that they're threatened continuously all the time. I ask them, please expand.
And they are.
I said, tell me, explain to me what that looks like to you. Is it the highest judge in the court? Do they send you an email? Like, what does that look like? And so they'll say to me that before they go into court, it's judge by judge. They're going to tell them who's winning the case.
They're going to lose their career.
No, but who is winning the motion? This is what the lawyers are sharing with me openly, that before they go into court, the judge tells them who's winning the motion and who's winning the case. They said they just go in there and it's just for show. That's exactly what they said.
It's theater.
So sometimes I'll ask a young attorney and say, did you know it was going to be like this when you went into it? And they'll say to me, no, we didn't. We didn't know it was going to be like this, but now we're in it. What can we do? They threaten us all of the time and continuously. I was with 3 clerks in Orange County Supreme, and I said, the documents are falsified. These are not legally filed cases, and this is organized crime. And they're like, yes, I know. Yes.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Well, right now, let me tell you something. I'm not in America. Okay. And I'm not going to be in America because I can do the most for America being outside of their sphere of corruption. Okay. It's just smart. It's just smart. Okay. I actually have the resources and I have the friends and the network and the dream team that's putting together a real legal solution that doesn't involve our very complicit FBI. All right. And I know everybody. Okay. It's real easy for, a couple of studs like us to say, no, 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 we'll do the hard work for everybody. We'll put the X's on our back. We're going to have I just had my CFP letters removed from the CFP because, all right, there is a rule on the 187th page of the procedural rulebook. Now, the CFP board is a private organization. It's a certified financial planners. I did that it's a highly ranking thing, and I don't want to discredit all the other CFP holders. They're the smartest financial advisors on the planet. It is very difficult. It is a higher fail rate than the bar than the bar exam. All right, and I don't want to take away from any of them, but they have a certain enforcement division that all happen to be bar card holders that got a call and said they don't like this guy, Dave Weigel. And he's seems to be an enemy of the Bar Association. So after the SEC looked into me 6 times in a row, 6 audits in a row, because part of my divorce is that the scum that she hired, okay, that now my ex-wife is on my side, and we are suing him, and she is going to be testifying about all the things he told her to do that were illegal. All right, so we're in the process of doing that. We learned quite a lot, from this situation, and I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought, to be honest with you. What were we talking about? It gets me so upset. Oh, I'm losing my letters. All right. So this guy called the SEC and told him I was the next Madoff. So the SEC did their job, and they audited me once, which, if you've ever been through an audit as a money management firm, it is akin to someone walking in on Monday morning and kicking you square in the nuts right at 9 a.m. and say, that's the nicest thing I'm going to do to you all day today. And they did this 6 times, 600 hours. Okay. And I've posted, and the biggest feather in my cap of how honest I am, they found nothing. Considering the world where you can string emails together to make, Mother Teresa look like Hitler, that's how honest I am. So the CFP, okay, but the Warrior Project wasn't taken off at that point, right? Right. It wasn't until later that I got 24,000 people and 500,000 views of telling people the truth, right? And having come out and didn't have the details of being able to prove that I knew the Bar Association was the source of this, but I couldn't prove it at that point, right? So after the 6 audits from my real regulators, the SEC, then it went to FINRA, is our other regulator. When I was a broker, I'm a hedge fund manager now. I used to be a broker. FINRA cleared me in 1 day. They did a 1-day investigation into the issues surrounding my bankruptcy, which was the way that I found to screw them back. U.S. bankruptcy, for those that don't know, if you get screwed over by people, that's a way for you to screw them back. Okay. I found out my attorney was actually working for the other side and sold me out to the other side and hit me with $1.4 million that was due in 30 days that he knew I just didn't have laying around, and knew that would be a mark on my license that would hurt me forever. And I learned at that moment in time that his name is David Robbins, and he sold me out, and I have all the evidence in the world that is ironclad. So I got hit with 1.4 million there, and then having to spend about $200,000 a year in New York City to be in divorce for 9 years for a municipal function of a divorce. It's kind of expensive. I got to the point where I said, you know what? I've earned the trust with my client. My average clients are with me 16 years. My average client is with me 16 years. And I perform for them. I said, you know what? They're holding this bankruptcy thing over my head. That's their tool of choice. I said, I'm going to show them what being an honest person is really worth. I'll take your bankruptcy and I'll shove it straight up your ass. And I shoved it straight back up their ass by claiming bankruptcy and wiping out the debt and wiping out. So the lawyer who screwed me thought he was walking into $300,000 of legal fees. Nada, baby. Zero.
Can I say, Dave, just about bankruptcy court, though, a little? That actually bankruptcy is very much in with the property theft. A bankruptcy court in New York is very much in. The judges are handpicked for the non-legal fraudulent cases. Bankruptcy judges are very much in with the property theft, and the property theft in New York and California especially is massive. And again, many of these properties are being used for location for child sex trafficking. They are working for a global enterprise, not for the
You are
country.
100% right. But I also
and bankruptcy is in.
I also want to give free financial advice from a 30-year veteran on Wall Street whose fund is in the top 0.1% of all fixed income in the world. All right. Do not be afraid of claiming bankruptcy if you are in this situation. All right. Call me. All right. Reach out to me. These are federal protections for U.S. citizens for a reason. For a reason. Okay. You get decimated by this system. Don't you be one of these people that says, okay, who cares? Okay. If you tell your story on Family Court Fraud Warrior Project, okay, I'm a money manager. I sit here talking about bankruptcy all the time. You know how many clients I've lost? Zero, because they know what I do and they know, and I've built up a track record. All right. And I just want to tell everybody out there, okay, because all of the targets are good people. They're going to use certain tools to hold over you. All right. Don't let them hold bankruptcy over you. It's a way to fuck them back. All right. And I'll teach you how to do it if you need to. Reach out to Dave at fraudwarrior.org. Okay. And you could thank Andrew Friedman of the CFP Board Enforcement Unit, who we've proven and we are in the process of providing criminal complaint under the United Nations Human Defenders Act and United Nations Convention Against Torture, because it is illegal globally to retaliate against a human rights defender. And I don't know, I think 24,000 victims that are attached that are, I think I qualify as a human rights defender, as you do. Okay. So we try to always make these educational, but also it's a behavioral change machine. I told Louann, I said, I want to sponsor her for our wall of fame. Okay. She is one of these people that is not afraid to be here under her own name and is risking retaliation, as I'm risking retaliation. And she's doing it because she can't not. All right. And nobody understands what sacrifice these human rights defenders go through. All right. It took me 12 years to fight to get my kids back. Thank God they're coming Saturday. I haven't seen them since January. I can't go back to Connecticut because I exercised my First Amendment right. And I've tried to help victims. I lost them again. That's what we endure. That's what we endure. So I want to get into more of the particulars, Louann. You're phenomenally well-spoken. I think I work with a lot of analysts, so I'm going to give you a left-handed compliment. You're so smart. You go directly into crazy details of your case, where I think the vast majority of people would benefit taking a step back a second, all right, and talk a little bit about what did you not first see? You were at work, okay? What did you see? And what are the steps and what happened? You saw this stuff and then you had to report it. How did you report it? What happened when you reported it? What did you do next? Top down from 30,000 feet. Can you give people a kind of viewpoint of how you got into this from 30,000 feet?
Right. Like I said, my father passed away, and so I got involved in a business lawsuit on behalf of his business. So that brought me into the courts. And then while in the courts, I figured out there was many court filing system manipulations going on in the case. And then I came to learn in April of
How, how, how,
2025.
how, how did you first pick it up? The court filing manipulations. Was it
I have
the transcripts that you saw? Like, wait a second,
no.
they didn't say that in court.
No, this is how they're filing the dockets in the system. This is system filing manipulations that are used to make
Uh,
sure that certain
on my
documents do get not. So this is important for people to understand, right? When an attorney files a case into the public docket, they can file it legally or they can file it illegally. They have a choice. They shouldn't have it, but they do. And how they file those first documents in the docket will determine if it's a legal case internally going on or not. And you can see how they're tripping off the filings at inception of the case that would allow a not legal case to proceed internally. And people need to understand a public docket does not equal legal. A public docket is a public interface for filing. The internal system in New York is CourtNet, UCMS, and UCS. And those are internal systems where the in quote real case is proceeding. And that case can look nothing like the case you are public to see. It can have different documents, different motions, different decisions. And so the public NYSIF document is used to deceive and defraud, and the internal system might not have a legal case proceeding either, but it looks completely different and it's manipulated. And the way they're able to achieve this is by system filing manipulations in the public docket that link internally. So they are very skilled attorneys in the court on how to file a not legally filed case, and then it illegally proceeds. It does not follow legal procedure or timeline, and so it's very so I am very detailed. I looked at thousands of labs a day for 15 years straight. If you miss one number, one lab, that's some child's kidney, that's their liver. I cannot make a mistake. Thank the good Lord I never had a malpractice. But I have my eyes, and what I see in documents and things is not maybe the average person's, because I am very detailed to everything on a page, every number, everything. It became very obvious to me about these system manipulations. File before received, motions with zeros in front of it. That's not allowed. It's a selective fraudulent application. So all these things I could very easily pick up, and then I brought it to the people in the court, right? I made myself a court rat. I'll talk to anybody, anytime, ask anything, find out, and I will. And people will give you information, especially when you know a lot. You say what you know, and then they're going to confirm what you know. So
Okay.
I really made my business to figure this out and confirm it.
Okay, I'm going to interject for a second, okay, because one of the main purposes of the Warrior Project is on the basis of, holy shit, what if I knew in year 1 or 2 what I would have learned by year 14, my length in there, and spent 15,000 hours agonizing over the theft of your children, alone in the home that you built for them, staring at the room that you haven't changed or picked up their clothes off the floor in 3 years. That forces the mind, especially when you're a fucking genius like me. And I'm sorry, I will say that I am a bona fide genius. It's in the numbers, okay? That level of focus from the soul to try and find the solution, okay, is what the basis of this is. What we try to teach people with our education series is what you can do about it. We don't come here to bitch, okay? There's 2,000 Facebook groups out there. Go bitch there, all right? We're a do group, all right? And what has been successful in my case and in advising others is when you understand the narcissist mind and you do the work and you understand their next move and how they're going to come after you, you front run them. You tell them what they're going to do ahead of time. So now when they do it, it's on permanent public record. It was called out. And I'm going to make a prediction, Louann. All right. They're coming after your license. Mm-hmm. All right. You're somebody that I'm sure has saved thousands of lives, if not tens of thousands of lives. There's a scumbag serving the Bar Association right now listening, who's going through all of your stuff, trying to find one thing that they can say you were responsible for. What do humans do? What do all humans do? They all die at one point, do they not? Is it fair to say, Louann, that all human beings die at one point?
Yes, and they can't take their money with them. They're going to leave their corrupted, stolen money right here.
Oh, we'll get there too.
Yeah.
But there is always this desire to blame, and especially blame a whistleblower like you, to say it was Louann's fault. It's coming. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. Mark it down, all right? They're coming after Louann's professional license with bullshit, and they're going to blame the 0.0002% of people that have done the natural thing of dying, that there's some manipulation, some story in there where they can make it sound like it's Louann's fault. Mark my words, it's coming. And I've got news for that attorney right now. I'm going to make you fucking famous. Everybody in the world is going to know that you did it to Louann. You're not going to be able to go anywhere in the world. We're going to dissect all of your work. We're going to dissect all of your fraud. We're going to pull it apart. We're going to bring experts in. We're going to dissect it from the psychology side, from the mental health side, from the pure greed side, from the criminal justice side. We're going to have every single expert. I've got experts coming to me in droves every single day. So I'm telling you right now, the people that are thinking about going after Louann, please try. I'm begging you. I'm begging you, because it's going to feel so good. It's going to feel so good to fry your ass publicly. You won't be able to go. The beautiful thing about the internet is you got to move to Mars. All right. Once everyone can Google your name. Oh, you're the criminal that went after Louann Larsen, who had the guts to stick up for pedophiles. A pedophile system, which I've refused to get into because I'm not an expert. It's not part of my thing. Can you please explain the dynamics of the second floor and the tunnel and the next to the school situation that we talked about today?
So we found with these properties that they are all, pretty much all, located near an elementary school or some elementary school across the street. And so is this a horrifying story? We go into court, a foot hole by 8 wide, the street.
All right. Hold on one second. One second. You're coming in and out. Can somebody comment whether you're coming in and out just for me, or are you coming in and out for everyone? Because this is too important of a story for us to miss. Can someone please comment whether her comments are coming in and out or not? It's coming. It is coming in and out. Okay. Are you in the best Wi-Fi area for you to be in?
I think I am. I'm as close as to my router. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay. Much better right now. Please start over, because it was coming in and out. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So this is an example. We'll have an elderly homeowner who is being brought into court, and to landlord-tenant, which they're actually not allowed to be brought into because they're not a landlord-tenant relationship. They're an owner. So that's part of a scheme going on. But anyway, they go in there, and before they go in, they dig a 44-foot hole by 8 foot wide along the curb.
Hold on. But these are people who live next to schools.
Close to schools, right? Close to schools. So all they need to do is break through the basement, and then but that's where they tunnel into. They want basements and first floors. The owner can stay on the second floor. I've been in a courtroom, and to your horror, you sit there, and after you've seen the hole in the street, and you know exactly what's going on, and then the judge will say to the homeowner, "We're taking your first floor and your basement, but you can stay on your second floor." And you just saw them drill the hole in 44 foot long. This is not a subtle hole, by 8 foot wide along the curb. And all they need to do is break into the basement. And that's where they bring the children through, because you can't bring them over ground. These are missing children and trafficked children. So they're bringing them in through the tunnels, and the pedophile customer comes to the first floor. And sadly to say, there's schools involved. There are, I'm not saying every school, but there are schools involved where this is taking place. So they want locations near school. So that elderly 82-year-old with a walker who was handcuffed and arrested and not allowed to go in and get her medication, that her house is the first house next to the playground of an elementary school, public elementary school. And when she went back for the few hours they gave her to get her belongings after living there for 35 years, the garage, she could not enter her garage. Inside was a wood beam across the door to her garage, and the garage is the first structure next to the school playground. They had already tunneled in to her garage. So they weren't going to let her in, and there was no court order to say she couldn't go into her garage, but she was not going to be allowed to go into her garage. We have a former NYPD officer who they took her property. Former. She was an officer at the time. They took her property. They arrested her, and they dug tunnels, and she has all videos of them because she wants her property back. So you can be an NYPD officer, but if they want your property, they're going to take it too. And they're going to drill tunnels. They actually collapsed part of her street because of all the tunneling going on. So the tunneling in New York is real. It is real. Why wouldn't it be too? We have tunnels everywhere. It's the easiest place to tunnel, but they're tunneling into properties to use. And the way they're obtaining these properties is that they are using fabricated, fraudulent, not legally filed cases. They egregiously violate the law. The system manipulations are beyond obvious. It's the same systematic fraud in the filing over and over, so they can have an illegal case proceed to its intended defrauded outcome, which is to take possession, unlawful possession, of elderly people and minority people. And they'll take anybody's home, frankly, when they get to it.
People, there's two things that I need to say to this. Okay. Number one, everyone needs to be part of this. Everyone needs to be part of the solution. If it's 5 of us sticking our necks out, we're dead and we're martyrs. If we're 5 million people with the guts to comment, to say, I'm a registered juror in the court of public opinion. I have been following this case. I have done the research. My vote is these people need to be indicted. Okay. And the other thing.
And we know too, Dave, right? Global human trafficking is the biggest industry. We know it. And the children are the biggest part of it. We're talking $1 billion industry, and there's many agencies involved in this. And New York and California are known as judicial hellholes. And it's not a coincidence that the courts, that the states where they're called judicial hellholes are directly involved with this egregious and heinous organized crime enterprise. They laugh at our Constitution. They laugh at our laws. They're not working for the people of the state or for this country. This is crimes against humanity, and we do have solutions, though, Dave. So I don't want to be a negative person. My God is going to be my deliverance. So I am not a negative person at all. That's why I'm here, and I will never stop. But we have solutions. One thing people I feel terribly for the years people have been done in these court cases. This is litigation abuse. This is cruel. But we have to remember that these cases that have been illegally proceeding, whether by fraudulent filings, have resulted in not legal decisions. So courts and judges do not have jurisdiction over not legally filed cases and illegal proceedings. So if there's manipulations and fraud in the filings in your cases or falsified documents in your internal system that do not match, which we can prove on the metadata of the documents, they're being changed after they're stamped and processed in the public dockets. They're being changed minutes, hours, days, weeks, and months after. And we can prove that. It's like fraud 101. And internally is that falsified version going to the judge. So your words are not getting to the judge. You can have an honest judge, a corrupt judge. They're not getting your words. But nonetheless, we can prove this fraud, and therefore the judgments made from fraudulent, illegally proceeding
Prove
cases.
to who? Prove to who? Louann, okay, this is where I'm going to dig deep, okay, into the passion I have for this, okay? No one's heard more evidence than I've heard over 3 years. I've inherited the traumas of over 1,000 of the worst horror stories you've ever heard, of people that are heroes by just taking another breath every single day. You know, the reason why I take the approach that I take, okay, is for two reasons. We need to unite the world and what works on social media, and professional speak is misrepresentation. When you hear about a child losing their entire future, that is what the rational response is to an industry. I will clean that up for you, buddy. I will clean it up. I'm staying with a friend. According to science, the rational response to that level of wrong is the rage you just saw. Okay? Me throwing a coffee cup against the wall, all right, is nothing. We do not, okay, support violence in any way, shape, or form. All right? It doesn't work. It doesn't mean that we all sit here and talk profession about it. Because if we're not talking about it at the level of passion that it deserves, it's not getting heard through the chaos theory, okay? What they're using to hide this is, number one, absurdity, all right? And this is why we have a highly educated, accomplished person talking to us right now, all right? Because they can say, she's crazy, she's stupid, blah, 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 okay, all the time, right? But the other thing is, one second then. If you are not speaking about the level of evil involved in this, all of us, it's misrepresentation. Legally, it's misrepresentation. It's not malfeasance that we should not, deal with anymore. No, it should be everyone in this goddamn country throwing their coffee mug against the goddamn wall. So we
These are our children.
So
These
we
are our
don't
old people.
go out, okay? Because we got two options here, people. We either come together and we retake over our country peacefully, okay, through education, through leadership, through intelligent design, through what we like to call intelligent transparency, okay, which is the heart and soul of the third stage of the Warrior Project. Is we're asking everyone to send in all of your documents and your complaints. I have built and spent a lot of money over 2 years building a system where all anybody has to do is email in their documents. It doesn't touch anyone's hands. Analysis at fraudwarrior.org doesn't touch anyone's hands. It gets fed through 3 different AI systems we hand built, okay, from the limited information that we can get from the courts. But all of the laws, the Constitution, math, okay, arithmetic, all right, and it eliminates the hallucination. It goes through 3 different AIs so that we can actually ask the 20 questions you need to have the data and the numbers so that they can't call you a liar. We did the work. 97.8% of all public complaints against lawyers in the United States of America are systematically obstruction of justice. It is organized crime. This is why this is happening. Okay? These are the culprits. You don't put a man in a cage and then wonder why you get a caged animal that comes out 5 years later. You purposely create a wealth hijacking system for a bunch of low-life lawyers, idiots, the bottom of the barrel. Christ, I could pass the Bar Association freaking after 12 bottles of Jack Daniels and no sleep for a month. I'm so sick of it. These are lowlifes. And to talk about these people in any other way, all right? And I know, all right? I want to be your bigger, older brother who comes in and sees you getting abused. And as strong as you are, Louann, okay? Men have been fighting wars for 200,000 years. We know what it's like to put our life in the hands of another man and ask them to do the same, right? We know how to deal with bullies. These are bullies. Bullies are cowards. Bullies are cowards at the end of the day. All right. If you've got to beat up women, if you've got to rape children, if you've got to steal children to make your money, you are a coward. And I take the approach that I take because I scare the shit out of them because they know my machine works. They know their time is limited. And you better hope you're not my next campaign. But let me tell you something. I will never be done with this project until the United States bar card is equivalent to a KKK hood. Because that's what it is. That's what it is. That's the level of treason against humanity that you are. And if you're one of the good lawyers, why don't you grab your balls and go do something else, right? You're smart, right? You passed the Bar Association. Why don't you come to Wall Street? Okay, I'll teach you how to make money, right? Why don't you put your brain to work actually creating something, helping somebody?
And if you know about these court systems, which those were, every lawyer is not a litigator, but if you're a court litigator and you know that the system is this way, you're aiding and abetting crimes. I mean, you are, and this is unacceptable. But I would like everyone to consider and look up toll and roll. It's I added New York onto this this act that's being put before Congress, and it includes the trafficking. I mean, it includes family rights. It includes these digital platforms that are being used to have fraudulent cases proceed illegally, hidden from the public. So it's a really good, so it's already before Congress. I added New York complaints on. It's called Toll and Roll. People can look up. But I do want people to realize that these cases, when fraud is found in these cases, these courts and these judges do not have immunity or jurisdiction over fraudulent, illegally proceeding cases. So the fraud is before the decision. The fraud is before the judgment. The fraud is before that. So when I get into it with some high up judges, they want to come back and say, well, you can appeal the decision. Hey, this is not about a decision. The fraud in this case is way before the decision. We can prove you that fraud was in that filing, in those falsified documents. So your decision is fraudulent. Your judgment is fraudulent.
Approved to who? What took me, and I have to admit,
Bring it to the light.
It took me, I was learning light bulb moment, global mind shift things about this industry in year 11 and year 12. And I'm a pretty smart guy. All right. That's how deep and how, look, if you've got an industry going on for 30 years that the whole country doesn't know about, it's got to be pretty damn smart. Okay. It's pretty damn smart. Right. So this is why we have implemented our behavioral change machine. Okay. The wall of fame and the wall of shame. Okay. Louann is going to be added to our wall of fame because she deserves it. Any advocate getting out there, putting an X on their back right now, saying, I refuse to unsee what I've seen, is an American hero. She's an American hero. She's going on Wall of Fame forever. And this is the beautiful thing. It has no shelf life. It's not a movie you talk about for a week. It's not a book you read at your book club. Okay. It's there forever. She's on the wall of fame. And if you're after her, that's her protection because she's got a 24,000 army behind her. So bring it, motherfuckers. Bring it. Okay. And number two is the wall of shame is equally as important. Okay. I am here internationally organizing support amongst the biggest human rights people in the world to launch criminal complaints against the worst of the worst. And guess what? There's precedence for it. And you know what? There's no immunity or statute of limitations in the international law. And you know what you're going to say, Mr. Dirty Lawyer? You're going to say, we're America. We don't pay attention to the international law. You do when my news channel is pumping it out to the entire world. And you can't go to the corner store without people sitting there saying, that's him. So when you're rolling around in your Rolls Royce, everyone's going to know, oh, that's your child trafficker. Oh, you're an old lady killer. Oh, you're a pedophile. Oh, so now when you're rolling around with your really expensive car, everyone you know knows how you made your money. That's so much better than violence, right? I hope all of you bar card criminals pass away at a very, very, very old age. But I'm telling you now, when you pass away, people are going to know how you made your money. That's the purpose of the Warrior Project. And I'm not going away until we do it because we got heroes like Louann Larsen that you're not going to want her life. Let me just tell you right now, you're not going to want her life over the next 3 years. And I want you to know, Louann, the second you get retaliated against anywhere, you report that directly to me. And I make that person famous, okay? I make that person famous because it's the only thing that matters. Because when I'm going to stop you right there because you're talking about trying to legitimize an illegitimate thing. On one side of your mouth, you're saying this is organized crime. On the other side of your mouth, you're talking about hoping the court's going to one day be a court. Be a court. Because no matter what evidence you've got, we're left with 3 questions. Who's hearing this evidence? Is it staying in the 4 walls of that court of all the criminals?
Oh, no.
Okay. All right. Who's listening?
We're
that can do something about it? Who's listening that can do something about it? And who's got the balls to step up and be an American hero and say, I'll take the personal hit. I'll take the personal hit for the rest of the country, for everybody else. Unfortunately, not too many people.
But Dave, I have to say, we have to be more afraid to do nothing than let it stay this way. So I don't fear what can come for me. I fear leaving the system and this organized crime and these missing children in tunnels, basements, and buildings, and these elderly people being left homeless. I fear leaving society this way for my children more than anything they can bring to me, for me. But I know that there's an executive order 13818 that's exactly about corruption and what can be done about it. So it's actually a very easy fix in many ways as far as systems wise goes, to not allow falsified documents. One system, now backroom systems, no digital platforms that are hidden. I mean, there's so many ways to
cameras in the courtroom. There are a million solutions.
Yeah, there's
but it
many
doesn't
things.
get to the crux of the problem.
One more thing I want to say, Dave, is this, though, is that the president of the United States, President Trump, the case that was brought against him by the AG in New York in 2022 has the exact same fraudulent, not legally filed case. His own attorneys didn't have the common decency to tell him that this is a fraudulent, not legally filed case. Instead, they profited off of at his expense, at the taxpayer's expense. So if this can happen to the president, as he said, it can happen to anyone. So wealthy people are not in any way immune from this coming to them. I have a very wealthy man. Him and his son were targeted. He had the best attorneys. They colluded with the state. when you're wealthy, you're a target. So your money isn't going to save you either. Your money's going to be, you can accumulate all your money, whether
You're
corruptly
a
or however,
bigger target.
and you're a target. You're a
You're
bigger
a
target.
bigger target.
So
And I'm
all
going to
these
go on
rich
a limb.
people should think they better do something about this
And I'm
too,
gonna go on
because
a
you're
limb.
a target too.
I don't think Mr. Trump is going to mind if we happen to put 500 of the worst judges in the country behind bars. Do you?
No,
I-
because
I
they're
don't-
coming for him and
I
his
don't
family
think
too.
I don't think he's going to lose an ounce of sleep over it. Do you?
Nope.
I really,
That's his
really
executive
don't.
order too. He has an executive order from 2017 that's remained.
I
And
think
ready to
I
go.
think Mr. Trump might want to actually confer with our international community that would like to put human rights complaint against the states, not the United States, but the worst states that are allowing it. Connecticut, Kentucky. By the way, Harvard did a humongous study and judged Kentucky judiciary as the most corrupt in all 50 states. Now that's saying something. Now that's it. We got 24,000 victims, 22,000 victims. I've spent $0 on advertising in 18 months. Okay. And it's happening in every county, in every state. And there's always one or two scumbags that these cases get transferred to. All right. I'm telling you, I'm sending a message to the people on the inside. All right. We need you too. We need you too.
Or they'll come
You
for
guys-
you too.
You guys can be here under aliases. I require everybody else to be here under their own name because we're collecting data. If you are an insider in any of these systems, okay, you are welcome to be here anonymously. All right, because we need a few of you to step up and call it out. Louann saw it in her day-to-day work. She saw what had happened to these kids. All right. We need more Louanns.
And
We
let me
need
just
more.
tell you, we have 2,000 kids going missing every day in this country. 2,000 a day in this country. I don't know if people realize that every single day.
And CPS
And
is
these
involved
kids-
in 85% of them. And
kids
CPS
are
is
missing.
involved in 85%. Because why? You do not give basically a GED level person godlike power to remove children from a mother. That is an imbalance in society that takes an ass monkey at the zoo to realize you don't do. It's done by design. It's done by design to feed this system. And you know what?
And I actually had it out with the lieutenant. I reported that sexually abused child, and they called me back. I had extensive files. And the guy said to me, well, that child abuse squad detective, she might lose some vacation time. And I said, that child's body is ruined forever. And you think I'm going to be satisfied with vacation time? I said, I'm going to send you my files. And he said, no, don't send them. I said, no, I am. I'm going to send you. I have very detailed files. I'm going to send them to you. I sent them to him. He doesn't respond. 3 emails later, I said, you don't respond. The next complaint is you. Okay, Miss Larson, I got your emails. But
Okay.
imagine a child abuse detective might lose some vacation time. For the mishandling, gross mishandling of this reporting to this day. And so I was again threatened by CPS ACS. I was threatened by them, and the police would not let me file a report that I was threatened by them and by the abuser. But nonetheless,
wouldn't let you file a report.
Nope,
Same as me.
they would not. They would not let me.
Since
they would
when
not
is
let
it
me.
the police's job to refuse to accept crimes? Since
And
when?
it's against RPAPL 768 for the property, and they won't let these older people file a report. They won't let them file a report for damage to their property.
International courts and international human rights leaders. Do you think we have a system in the United States about human torture for money? Do you need me to draw a map? Okay, I'm sure Louann can draw a map for you if you need it. But here's
I
the
can show you
thing.
some tunnels.
The FBI may have no desire to hear this shit, or the U.S. Marshals. And there's a lot of great U.S. Marshals, and I know a couple that have stepped up and have suffered greatly for it. Okay. I haven't known a single FBI because they're all filled with piece of shit bar card holders. They're all lawyers. Okay. Yeah, great regulator of lawyers. Yeah. Yeah. And my very first piece that went viral that started the Warrior Project, I sat there in front of the federal building and I said, I just lost custody of my kids because my best friend was just in the ICU from a motorcycle accident. I was in the air when he died. My court case was 12 noon, less than 12 hours away. That was deemed not an acceptable excuse for postponing this, and I lost custody of my children. Well, guess what? I used the court of public opinion and I seized them back, bitches, because I'm sorry I speak this way. And please, everyone understand when I am really speaking really obnoxiously and aggro, I am speaking to the worst people on the planet. Please do not confuse. I'm not speaking to the victims. I'm not speaking to the victim. Ask my friends. I'm a really nice guy. I'm a really nice guy. I've got friends from every walk of my life I'm still connected to, okay? It's just this role needs a bigger bully for these cowards, and that's the role I'm stepping up to do. But we need people handling it from all sides. Louann is stepping up in her way. We need more experts coming in, contributing to this Warrior Project. Is everyone's Warrior Project. It's not Dave Weigel's, okay? That's it. I own the 501c3. I'm putting $12,000 a month into it, okay? I will never make a dime, all right? I have no personal ambitions whatsoever other than to win. But we got to stop all being in 2,000 different groups. We've got to come together. We've got to have these conversations. We've got to have these conversations, okay? We've got to talk about it. We've got to find a way to work together on the same enemy, all right? And these morons that want to work for the other side and have us all at each other's throats, it's going to take everyone's bravery to shun them, get them out of the system. They're on the side of the child abusers, right? It's these advocates that are stepping up. We're not perfect people because we're people, okay? All right? But what's our intent? We're out here doing something good. We're not asking for money, okay? If people are attacking us and you're not sticking up for us, you don't fucking deserve your kid back. That's my answer to you. All right. Freedom isn't free. Okay. I find it very, very interesting that I'm here in Europe right now. My grandfather came to this country with $300 and 4 kids without knowing the language. Why? Because the pieces of shit that are in control in this country were in control of Europe then, okay? But they were stupid enough to do a bunch of human torture that people could take pictures of. Now they learned the mental torture, no pictures of that, all right? And they just moved on to the inside, all right? And now I'm sitting here over in Europe and I'm watching because of the behavioral change. They got their ass kicked in the war. All right. America was what America was. The Constitution, the greatest generation, people who put their lives on the line. And when I see these lawyers and these judges do this stuff, they're physically defecating on the Constitution. Everyone that lost their lives, every family member that lost a grandfather, a grandmother, all right, a brother, an uncle, okay? When you see these lawyers and these judges that should be making $110,000 a year rolling around in their $300,000 car, okay, you know they made their money by shitting on your dead relatives who gave their life for this country. Because now I'm seriously considering, okay, emigrating back to Europe. My mother was born in Europe. all right, came to the United States because it was the Constitution. It was give us your weak, give us your beaten down, you're broken. And we proved that that fundamental basis was superior, and we became who we became. And no one understands how much we've lost it already. We are not a country with the rule of law. We are a country of the rule of lawyer.
Lawless.
Right? Lawless. Okay. And I'm asking for your support. All right. I will gladly hand the baton to anyone who wants to take over my role. All right. But I don't expect my phone ringing off the hook. What I ask in response is we all watch Leanne Larsen's back. If she gets retaliated against, I want 10,000 calls to that person that did it. Okay. We've done it before. We'll do it again. We're going to have your back. All right. And I'm putting you on our wall of fame. Thank you, Louann Larsen. We don't like to have these go too long. All right. It's been a little bit emotional. My friend's looking at me with a dirty eye that I need to clean up the broken glass all over his house.
Can I say one thing, Dave? Thank you for having me. And I also see all the comments on the side, bringing up God. And I very much believe in God. I appreciate those comments. I believe in praying. And I just want to say Luke 18:7-8, it says, if you cry out and you ask me for justice, I will give it to you. And that's from the Bible, Luke 18:7-8. And I cry out for justice every day. It's a promise. You cry out and I'll give it to you. So I'm going to cry out for those kids, for those old people. And I cry out every day for justice. And so for those believers, or for those who call on his name, keep calling.
And I'm David versus Goliath. And I'm a motherfucker with my fucking rock throwing machine. Okay. Where the Warrior Project is my rock throwing machine, and you watch and see how many Goliaths I take down right here by doing exactly what they fear the most. Everyone knowing how you made your money. On behalf of all the victims, all right, and all the people suffering, I want to thank you very much. I think this was one of the most powerful, pieces that we've ever done. I want to thank and I apologize to all the people that have been commenting here. I'm 54. My eyes suck. I should have my reading glasses on, and I don't. And I also want to make one last plea. If anybody knows the band Korn, okay, I'm happy to pay your royalties. I love you guys. I want you to be our intro. Okay, they've taken us off YouTube because of that. I don't know how to pay you guys your royalties. If anybody knows how to get to Korn, please reach out to me at dave@fraudwarrior.org. I fully believe all the guys in Korn would be 100% behind, okay, this mission and having our back. And I want to pay them what they're owed, and they're owed their royalties on how we use their music. So a little bit of that. I can't thank you enough. Your face says it all. You're a hero. Thank you. We're going to be talking a lot. All right. Everyone, keep your eye out for the articles of when she gets added to the Wall of Fame, and the articles that go along with it that tell a much broader story of what a hero this woman is. Okay. Thank you, everybody who are paying attention, because you guys are all heroes too. You're the ones that are actually paying attention. So please go out and find 10 more people to pay more attention to this stuff. If everyone does that, okay? Because I'm sorry. I'm going to end this on a reality, because I'm not Hollywood and I'm not here to end on no. We've got, as a financial planner, my brain is trained to think in 30-year terms. If we succeed in this right now, we have our country back. If we do not, over the next 3 years, we are all fucking slaves. All of you sitting there waiting for your pension, you're going to be a slave. You think you're going to hold on to your boat down at the Jersey Shore? Fuck no.
They're going to take
Fuck
it.
no. You better become a bar card holder. But then again, I'm going to make that. The Warrior Project is going to make a bar card equivalent to, and I want to fame Amy Duncan for this. All right. When we're done, we'll not be done until a bar association card is equivalent to a KKK hood, because that's what level of treason you are by destroying this country from within, one family at a time. All right. I love all of your supporters. To all the victims out there, all right, please do not isolate. Okay. You cannot isolate. Everything is designed to isolate you. All right. We're a family here. We are a family. We're more of a family than your family because we actually know and we're not against you. Okay. But you need to come in here ready, willing, and to work. We won't charge you a dime, but motherfucker, you're rolling up your sleeves and you're working. All right. Because this is a silent war for your children and your lives and your freedom. Okay. And we need more heroes stepping up, and everyone can be a hero in the smallest way. Everyone does something better than the average person out there. Use those skills to come and volunteer for us. We have volunteer meetings. Reach out to amy.d@fraudwarrior.org. That's Amy, spelled like Amy, .d for Duncan, okay, at fraudwarrior.org. Whether you've got 2 hours a week to donate, 20 hours a week to donate, all right? It'll help you get out of your head. And trust me when I tell you, when you start doing the right thing for karma, karma does the right thing for you, all right? I got my kids back this way. I don't know many people that got their kids back. And we got to stand behind her because I can't even get my head around what she's seen and what she's dealing with. Okay. We need everybody. Thank you. Love you all. Good night. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Voices you pushed us
We're off.
by.